welcome back to Tattoo Talk Tuesday.
Hey everybody, it is Qcknd and welcome back to another episode of Tattoo Talk Tuesday. If you are joining us for the very first time, Tattoo Talk Tuesday is our interactive Q&A tattoo series where I, as a tattoo collector, lend my tattoo experiences to you guys. Today, I want to talk about a subject that I get a ton of questions on, and that is tattoos I was refused. I have a couple stories, and as anyone who's been getting tattooed for a number of years or through a serious amount of tattoos, number-wise, you run into the occasional refusal. And I have a couple things that I'm not considering tattooed refusal. Like before I got this love letter, I wanted to get a compass there, and my tattoo artist at the time was like, let's avoid circles, no circle tattoos. That's not what I mean by refused. I mean these 3 stories that I'm going to share were tattoos I was flat out refused. Definitely share your experience in the comments below and we will get started. I have a couple more than 3, but these are our 3 favorites. And I think stories are stronger in 3s. My first story is probably my lightest story of the bunch, and I'll just jump right into it. Maybe a couple winters ago, maybe 2 or 3 winters ago, my friend Justine and I went to get tattooed on South Street. That was my cat. On South Street in Philadelphia. If you don't know anything about South Street, I don't know, 20 years ago, it was a pretty big scene for the whole punk movement and stuff like that, and now it's really commercial and it's mostly a good place to buy cheap iPhone cases, no offense South Street. But there are a lot of tattoo shops around there, and I think, where'd you come from? Where did you come from? I think because of this punk scene that used to be on South Street, there are a lot of tattoo shops there in a very small strip. I would say between a 4-block radius, there is probably 4 tattoo shops. So I feel like these shops have developed a system where they are no bullshit shops, because there are twice as many bars as tattoo shops in that 4-block space, and I'm sure this place has to be very no bullshit tattooing. My friend Justine and I were on South Street, and we were talking about tattoos we wanted, and I really, and I still really, wanted a tattoo of a string tied around my finger. So I wanted something like that. I thought that would be really cute. Not that I was trying to remember anything, but I was like, hey, I dig symbolism. Why not? We happened to be on South Street, and we were like, let's get these tattoos. They don't have to be done by our specific artists because they're just one and done. I've seen them done before, and I figured that would be pretty cute. So we go into a tattoo shop, and we're greeted by a woman at the tattoo shop, and we're like, hey, these are our ideas, and we're interested in getting them. Do you have any availability for tonight? Or we want to get them now. And the girl kind of looked at us. It was winter, so we both had jackets on, and she was like, I don't know about getting tattooed on your hands. Have you really thought about it? And we were like, yeah, we want it. And she was like, you might want to try to get a tattoo, maybe, on your arm, your ankle, your back. Maybe try that first and then move on to your hands. And Justine and I were both like, excuse me? And she was like, yeah, it's kind of like, you might want to be tattooed somewhere else first. And really quickly, you guys have probably seen this picture of Justine and I before. This is Justine, this is me. And I feel like we're both pretty tattooed people. But, we had our jackets on, maybe our faces weren't really screaming tattooed people. Both of her and I look maybe pretty normal in the face, because we don't have face tattoos. So the girl was basically saying that she wasn't going to tattoo us on her hands. And instead of me being like, oh, I do have my I do have my arm tattooed, I do have my ankle tattooed, and I do have my back tattooed, we were just like, so we can't get it unless we have arm tattoos? And she was like, yeah, you should wait. And we were like, okay, bye. And we were basically refused because we weren't apparently tattooed. And with this, I understand the sentiment totally, but at the same time, I also kind of wanted that tattoo, and I don't know if it if I should have like flexed and showed her I had all these tattoos, and all of a sudden she would have been like, oh, I'm sorry, your majesty, come right this way. So in that instance, we kind of left. We never ended up getting the tattoo because that kind of put a bad taste in our mouths, and we thought, all right, maybe the next time we want a tattoo on our hands, we better get our throat tattooed first so everybody knows that we're dead serious. So rewind a couple years before that, some of you guys know that I have an inner lip tattoo that says cynic, and I have a whole episode about it that somehow like went viral, and it has a lot more views than any of my other videos. I have an inner lip tattoo in my mouth, and some of you guys are familiar with that story, but what I don't share in the story is that that was the second tattoo shop I had gone in that day. The first tattoo shop I went to that day refused to do the tattoo for me. I was in Doylestown, and there are probably like 3 tattoo shops in Doylestown at this point. It has really become a place for tattoos. Before that, back in my day, there was about 1 shop, and I remember it was lightly protested. People did not want a tattoo shop in Doylestown, but here it was, and I didn't have a ton of options when that tattoo shop was there. I really wanted an inner lip tattoo. I had tattoos at that time, not a ton of tattoos, but still tattoos on my arms and legs, and was like, hey, I want to get this tattoo today. I was in a relationship with my ex at that time, and he was away at school, and he was home for the weekend, and we were like, hey, we're in love. Let's get tattoos together. And we weren't planning on getting matching tattoos. We weren't getting tattoos that said the same thing. We weren't getting tattoos of the same thing. We were just getting tattooed together because it was the weekend and we wanted to get tattoos, and that's who we were. So we went to a tattoo shop, and we went in, and I was like, hey, this is the tattoo I want, this is why I want it, and I want it inside of my mouth. And the shop person said, hey, 1 second, I'll grab a tattoo artist who is available, because I just wanted a walk-in tattoo. I didn't want to make an appointment with my tattoo artist for just this little thing in my mouth, because I just wanted the word cynic, and that's all I wanted. I didn't want crazy script, just the word. So the tattoo artist came out, and she said, hey, I just don't feel comfortable tattooing couples. And I was like, oh, we're not getting matching tattoos. We're just both getting tattoos today, if that's okay with you. And she said, I just don't do couple tattoos. It's something I refuse to do, and I'm never gonna do it. I also do not do face tattoos. And I had been tattooed there before, and I'm not kidding. It's where I got my 666 tattoo on my fingers. So I wanted to be like, psst, it's me. But, you have to respect your artist's opinion, and even if you have a but you still have to go, hey, this person is in charge of what they do, and they're in charge of what they put out there. And just like I wouldn't want to give somebody a bad haircut because they would walk around and be like, yeah, Qcknd gave me this haircut. The same person has the exact right to be like, hey, I think that's a bad tattoo and I don't want to do it. But I was just a little put off by the fact that she didn't want to do couples at the same time. Again, it's her right. And, maybe there are people out there who are like, don't bring too many of your friends to the tattoo shop, or I don't do group tattoos or party tattoos or whatever, bridal shower tattoos. But this person said that she does not do couple tattoos even if the couple isn't getting the same tattoo. So just the presence of my ex being there canceled out my ability to get a tattoo that day. So a little desperate, some of you know the story. We took a bus to a different tattoo shop and definitely got shitty tattoos, and I had a panic attack. But it was all because the first girl didn't want to give us face tattoos and didn't want to tattoo couples. And although I don't really consider my inner lip my face, like a face tattoo, I do see my tattoo all the time, every time I talk. So maybe she was right and it was a face tattoo, and maybe I should have listened to her. But I kind of like the tattoo, not gonna lie. So my final tattoo that I was refused in this little series story is a little bit of a here and there, because the tattoo never really happened, and I'll tell you what happened. I'll tell you why. When I first started getting tattooed, years down the line, years past boyfriends and everything like that, I was living independently and going back to school, and getting tattooed was really important to me, and it was something I started to travel for. And it was just when I started traveling for tattoos and just when I started to get good tattoos. So I was really excited, really motivated to get tattooed, but I was really unexperienced with getting higher end tattoos. And by higher end tattoos, I just mean tattoos that required an appointment, tattoos where the artist had a significant portfolio and a significant hourly rate. And I was just wading into the water on these more fancy tattoos. So I was really unexperienced with what my expectation could be and if I was being taken advantage of. And really, I was just new to this whole world. And I found this artist. He was in magazines and he was on the internet. And this was a couple years ago before Instagram, so bear with me with what I considered celebrity at the time. And he had this big tattoo shop, and his name was like renowned for this tattoo shop because he was famous. He was like world famous. I don't know. That was my understanding of him. So I had received one tattoo by him, and looking back on it, I felt like he was really bossy. He had a lot of rules that didn't make sense to me. Why are there rules? Why are there rules? He told me that he performed tattoos in one session only. He required a really large deposit. He had a very specific hourly rate. And even during my first tattoo, he smoked a bunch of cigarettes on the clock. He took a consultation on the clock. And I remember when he was like, all right, well, that was about X amount of hours. I wanted to be like, you ate a sandwich. He kept his tattoo shop freezing cold. And because I wasn't wearing pants, I was like, I'm dying. But at the same time, I was like, this is what it takes to be tattooed. This is what I have to do to get tattoos by people who are good at what they do. You know, X amount of years later, I realized I don't need to get tattooed by people who want to be on TV. I want to be tattooed by people like me whose art I enjoy. But I didn't know. And here's where this goes. So after our first tattoo was done, I thought, this is the person who is going to give me the tattoos I want. So I put down a deposit for a new tattoo. And honestly, years later, bigger tattoos later, better tattoos later, I have still never put down a deposit this big, ever. Some of you guys know that I have a Me Without You tattoo by Ashley Love. Yellow spider, yellow leaf. I have a tattoo of a yellow spider and a yellow leaf. Half a decade ago, this tattoo artist was supposed to do this tattoo on me. And Ashley did it exactly how I want, a small palm-sized tattoo that I can create pieces around and have a leg of tattoos. That was my envision. That's what I vocalized. My appointment came up for this tattoo artist, and I got there and I was already really nervous. I remembered how cold the tattoo was, how much the needle hurt in this freezing cold room, how it was silent, expensive. I felt so uncomfortable. I felt like I was bossed around. I felt like I was truly just a canvas to work on and not a human being. But I didn't know better. And some people never experience that, and some people do. Some people find their perfect artist right away, and some people don't. So I got to the appointment, and the drawing was all drawn up, and it was huge. I knew this tattoo artist wanted to just make this huge tattoo on me because I didn't know better. The tattoo previous was huge, this one was huge, and I wasn't ready to commit to this giant tattoo when I knew in my heart I just wanted something small. And not small and dainty, like, I just want a little tattoo. I wanted to create a leg of tattoos. And in my heart, I could tell something was going wrong. And people say, you know when something is wrong, and you follow your heart and you use instinct. And after everything I had been through and how strange I felt during the previous appointment, my heart was telling me that this was all wrong. I don't know where it came from, because even now I don't think I'm this brave. But I said to him, I can't get this tattoo. And he was like, why? What's wrong with it? Is it this part? This is how I draw this. This is how I do this. This is how I do this. And I knew something was wrong, and before I could have another panic attack, I said, well, can I at least buy this painting that you did of the tattoo? And he said, this is mine and you can't have it, just so you could get it somewhere else. And since I had already put down that pretty big deposit, not talking like $50, not talking $100, not talking $200 deposit for a spider tattoo. After I had all that in mind, I was like, I either get this tattoo or I lose this money. And I don't want the tattoo, and I don't want it to be bigger, and I know better. I know the tattoo does not have to be that big to get the detail in. This was about to be a piece and not a tattoo. And after all the money I had spent for the other tattoo that he encouraged me to get really large, I knew that this wasn't right. So I had to leave. And I left the huge deposit. He didn't let me keep the sketch. And when I stood up to leave, he told me I could never come back. And although I felt like I wasn't refused the tattoo, I was told that it was either this or nothing. And I chose nothing. And it was at a time where that much money definitely hurt me. It was definitely almost a year until I could afford another tattoo after I took that loss. But I kind of learned, sorry, I'm scratching my back. I learned that there are tattoo artists out there who will try to take advantage of you. And you can either get that tattoo that you don't want or that you were pressured into getting, or you could vocalize yourself, and if the tattoo artist tries to butt heads with you, you leave. And if I was stronger, if I was more tattooed, if I had been more outspoken, maybe I could have got my deposit back. But after he vocalized that the deposit was his no matter what, and it was held there in case I decided to not get the tattoo, and that is what I exactly did, I said, hey, fine. If that's how you earn your money, then that's how you earn it. And if you earn it in an unhonest way by taking advantage of people, then I know that, and I don't want to be tattooed by you. So that was then over and done with. I've spoken to other people where it's happened to them before too, and they said, yeah, that guy, he made my tattoo huge. And I was like, yeah, he does that. And I guess that's how you make your money, but that's not how I want to be tattooed. These are my stories. Don't get too discouraged. There are people out there, and there are tattoo artists out there who want to work for you and want to create something beautiful on you. So if you have to shop around, if someone has to tell you no, it doesn't mean that you necessarily have a bad idea, and it doesn't mean that there isn't somebody out there who's going to fit perfectly for you, because there are plenty of artists out there who are amazing and talented, and they want to give you exactly what you want. So I encourage all of you to look out there, and even if your tattoo artist isn't across the street, maybe they are across the state or across the country, they're out there for you and they want to put beautiful stuff on you. So with that, I love you guys. Thanks for watching Tattoo Talk Tuesday. Thanks for encouraging me to make this episode. I hope it wasn't too much of a downer, because 5, 6, 7 years later, I couldn't be more happy with how the progression of my body has turned out. And I hope to encourage you guys as well, or at least entertain you if you are sitting pretty with all your perfect tattoos and your perfect artist that you found right away. I love you guys, and until next time, bye. Hey everybody, it is Qqcknd, and welcome back to Tattoo Talk Tuesday. If you're joining us for the first time, Tattoo Talk Tuesday is our weekly interactive Q&A where you